Heartstrings across divides. Before we dive into our story, please like and subscribe. Chapter 1, Worlds Apart. Alexander Sinclair stood on the balcony of his penthouse, gazing out over the glittering skyline of the bustling metropolis. The city was a testament to his family's wealth and power, a sprawling canvas of towering skyscrapers and gleaming high-rises. Yet, as he surveyed the panoramic view, a sense of emptiness gnawed at him. At just 26 years old, Alexander had inherited his family's business empire, a legacy that had been passed down for generations. He was the heir to a fortune that could buy him anything his heart desired: lavish homes, exotic cars, the finest luxuries. But despite his privileged upbringing and the trappings of success, he felt a profound disconnect from the world around him. Alexander sighed, his chiseled features etched with a hint of melancholy. He had been groomed since birth to take over the family's vast corporate empire, his every move scrutinized and his choices dictated by the expectations of his powerful parents. The weight of those expectations had become a heavy burden, one that left him feeling trapped in a gilded cage of his own making. As he gazed out over the city, Alexander couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to live a life free from the constraints of wealth and status. To experience the simple joys that so many others took for granted: a warm embrace, a genuine connection, a sense of purpose that extended beyond the pursuit of profit and power. Shaking his head, he turned and stepped back into the lavish confines of his penthouse, the opulent furnishings and artwork a constant reminder of his privileged existence. He knew that his family would never understand his yearning for something more, something that couldn't be bought or sold. Wandering through the expansive living room, Alexander paused before a towering window that offered a panoramic view of the city's bustling streets. From this vantage point, he could see the stark contrast between his own gilded world and the vibrant, diverse tapestry of life unfolding below. In the distance, he caught a glimpse of a modest street market, its stalls overflowing with an array of colorful flowers and fresh produce. The air was filled with the lively chatter of vendors and the laughter of passers-by, a stark contrast to the muted elegance of his own surroundings. Alexander found himself drawn to the energy and vitality of the market, a world so different from the one he inhabited. He watched as people from all walks of life mingled, their faces alight with genuine connection and a sense of community that he had never truly experienced. Suddenly, a flash of color caught his eye: a young woman, her auburn hair cascading down her shoulders, tending to a stall filled with an array of vibrant blooms. There was a radiant warmth to her that captivated him, a gentle strength that seemed to emanate from her very being. As he watched her, Alexander felt a stirring within him, a longing for something he couldn't quite define. It was as if this simple, unassuming woman possessed a kind of richness that all his wealth and privilege could never buy. Transfixed, Alexander found himself drawn to the street market, his feet carrying him down the winding paths that led to the bustling hub of activity. He wove through the crowd, his gaze fixed on the flower stall and the woman who tended it, a sense of curiosity and intrigue taking hold of him. As he approached, the woman looked up, her eyes meeting his with a mix of surprise and curiosity. For a moment, time seemed to stand still, and Alexander felt a spark of connection that he had never experienced before. In that instant, he knew that his world was about to change, that the carefully constructed walls he had built around himself were about to crumble. This chance encounter, this fleeting moment of connection, had the power to shatter the very foundations of his privileged existence. And as he stood there, captivated by the woman before him, Alexander realized that he was more than ready to embrace the unknown, to step out of the shadows of his family's legacy and into a world that promised the possibility of something truly extraordinary. Chapter 2, A Simple Life. The bustling street market was a kaleidoscope of colors, sounds, and scents, a stark contrast to the towering glass and steel of the city skyline that dominated the horizon. Amidst the lively chaos, Clara Belle tended to her family's modest flower stall, her nimble fingers arranging vibrant blooms with a practiced grace. Clara's days were a rhythmic dance of tending to the fragrant flowers, greeting customers with a warm smile, and dreaming of a future beyond the confines of this market. Though her life was far from the opulence that defined the lives of the city's elite, she found solace in the simple joys that surrounded her: the laughter of children darting between stalls, the aroma of freshly baked bread wafting through the air, and the sense of community that permeated every interaction. As she carefully wrapped a bouquet for a regular customer, Clara's gaze drifted to the towering skyscrapers in the distance, a wistful expression crossing her features. Someday, she murmured to herself, I'll see more of this world than just this market. The chime of the bell above the stall's entrance jolted Clara from her reverie, and she turned to greet the next customer, her eyes sparkling with genuine kindness. Good morning. How can I help you today? The young man who approached the stall was unlike any of Clara's usual patrons. His tailored suit and refined demeanor immediately set him apart from the bustling crowd. As their eyes met, Clara felt a flutter in her chest, captivated by the intensity of his gaze. I'm not sure, the man stammered, his confidence momentarily shaken. I was just passing by and, well, your flowers caught my eye. Clara couldn't help but smile, her initial shyness giving way to a warm curiosity. Then allow me to suggest something special, she replied, her slender fingers tracing the delicate petals of a nearby bouquet. These lilies are particularly beautiful today, don't you think? The man's eyes followed the graceful movements of her hands, and for a moment, he seemed lost in the simple elegance of the flowers. Yes, they are, he murmured, his voice tinged with a hint of wonder. Sensing his hesitation, Clara leaned in slightly, her voice lowering to a conspiratorial tone. Tell me, what kind of person are you looking to surprise with these flowers? The man blinked, as if suddenly realizing the weight of her question. I'm not sure, actually. I don't often buy flowers. He paused, a faint blush creeping across his cheeks. But perhaps you could suggest something that captures the essence of new beginnings? Clara's smile widened, and she nodded thoughtfully. I see. In that case, let me put together something truly special for you. Her nimble fingers danced among the blooms, carefully selecting vibrant flowers and arranging them with a practiced eye. As she worked, Clara couldn't help but steal glances at the enigmatic stranger before her. There was an air of refinement and privilege about him, yet she sensed an underlying vulnerability that intrigued her. She wondered what had brought him to this humble market, far from the gleaming towers that dominated the city's skyline. There, Clara announced, presenting the finished bouquet with a flourish. I hope these captured the spirit of new beginnings you were looking for. The man's eyes widened as he took in the vibrant arrangement, his fingers gently tracing the delicate petals. It's beautiful, he murmured, his voice tinged with awe. Thank you. Clara felt a warmth bloom within her chest as she watched the man's reaction, a sense of pride in her work mingling with a curious fascination. I'm glad you like it, she replied, her voice soft and sincere. Please, let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. The man hesitated for a moment, his gaze lingering on Clara's face. Actually, I'd like to know more about you, if you don't mind. About your work here, and your dreams. Clara blinked in surprise, her heart quickening at the unexpected request. My dreams, she repeated, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Well, I suppose you could say I dream of a life beyond this market, of seeing more of the world and all it has to offer. She paused, her eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. But for now, I'm content to bring a little bit of beauty to the lives of those who pass through here. The man nodded, his gaze never leaving Clara's face. I can see that, he murmured, a faint smile playing on his own lips. You have a way of making even the simplest things seem extraordinary. Clara felt a blush creep across her cheeks at his words, and she ducked her head shyly. Thank you, she replied, her voice soft. I suppose we all have our own ways of finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, don't we? The man's expression softened, and he seemed to ponder her words for a moment. I suppose we do, he agreed, his voice tinged with a hint of wistfulness. I should be going, but thank you, again, for the flowers. As the man turned to leave, Clara couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. There was something about him that intrigued her, a sense of hidden depths that she longed to explore. Wait, she called out, her voice carrying a note of boldness that surprised even her. I didn't catch your name. The man paused, his eyes meeting hers once more. Alexander, he replied, a faint smile playing on his lips. My name is Alexander. With a nod and a final, lingering glance, Alexander turned and disappeared into the bustling crowd, leaving Clara with a heart full of questions and a growing sense of wonder. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for part 2.